Alright, so I finally got around to making a demonstration video of my Halloween costume from this year. It is the Hubie Halloween with the Swiss Army thermos. If you haven't seen the movie, obviously check it out. It's on Netflix, starring Adam Sandler and a host of other actors as well. But here's a quick demonstration of it. It has a loudspeaker.
Testing, testing. We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the paddle way.
Some of the other notable features of this thermos was obviously a super bright flashlight. So that there definitely will blind you. And then a belt clip, obviously with a easy removal. And then a drill as well. And so when you take this lid off, the drill pops out and you have yourself an actual functional drill. So that would legitimately work, activated by these buttons here. That's the LED button. Additionally, it has, this was kind of a last minute feature. I wanted to make sure I got the vacuum cleaner in there as well. And with help of my soundboard here, there you have it, vacuum, or at least a simulated vacuum for sure. But obviously then this can go back in there. And some of the other features that I wanted to have, now the shovel didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to turn out to, but it's the best replica I could do with the space available inside this small thermos. So obviously you twist the lid a little bit and a little shovel pops out. As you know, it looks like maybe more of a knife than it is a shovel, but it's shiny, it's spade shaped, and you could probably move some dirt with it, who knows, but it's pretty fun. Additionally, we have, like I said, the soundboard. So it's using just the a free soundboard app on my Android device here. So it has a bunch of the notable quotes as well as like some of the features that I couldn't obviously fit in here, like a flare gun. This is one of them. So it's the sound of a flare gun instead of actually having a flare gun. But I could also do a lot of other features that I couldn't necessarily fit in here, like demonstrated the vacuum cleaner. I also have the blender. So that just sounds like things are getting ground up inside of there. Obviously another one was a hair dryer. I pretend my hair is moving. Here's a couple of the memorable quotes in there, some of the short ones here.
Somebody put a firecracker in my mail slot. There's a diaper in the middle of Dory's pond. There's a weird station wagon at the senior center. Supermarket selling expired bacon. Johnny at the library has not been herself lately. I heard a voice in the sewer.
So, I mean, there's about like 70 different quotes that I went through and picked out. Just a bunch of different ones that I thought would be funny. Mostly what Adam Sandler's saying, because then you can kind of use it in place of your own kind of voice. But so yeah, there you have it. Here's kind of all the basic features. And now I'll dip into a little bit of why I picked those features and how I actually fit them inside of here. There was a few bugs that I had to work out along the way, and I'll go into details with those and show you the best I can. I kept most of it kind of modular, so if I needed to do repairs, I can unscrew something, pull it out without it just being completely fixed and super glued in place. There is a little bit of glue involved, but nothing that can't be replaced if I need to replace a battery or anything. All right, before I jump into the thermos build and showing you some of those features and how they fit in there, I'll show you the helmet real quick that's been sitting here. And surprisingly enough, when I was making the costume, this was actually an oversight that I didn't even pay attention to with the bats and the pumpkin on the helmet. So kind of last minute, I wanted to actually get the extendable mirror on there. Now it doesn't have the mirror piece, but again, it's just something simple and it looks pretty damn close to it. But yeah, so last minute I was actually taking this plain orange helmet and I cut out a little stencil out of some foil tape, the best I could do with, you know, the shape and size reference that I could determine. from still images of the movie. And so I would just tape that on there, Sharpie the little feature in there, and just match the pattern from what I saw in the movie. Now the pumpkin, on the other hand, that was actually freehand. So I mean, it's pretty damn good for freehand. It captures kind of the expression of the one on his, so that's pretty damn accurate. This helmet I actually found at a Goodwill. Most of the parts here, other than parts that I had on hand, was found at a Goodwill. A few different Goodwills. At the time I was in Flagstaff, Arizona, and checked out the 2 available stores they had there, and that's where I found the helmet. First day I actually found the ping pong paddle, so that was actually kind of nice. Came with a 2-pack and it was like $2, so not bad, but it was a feature of the costume, so that was the first thing I actually found. But yeah, this helmet, I had a choice between another helmet that I was going to have to spray paint, or I came across this one and it already was orange. So, I mean, obvious choice there with how expensive spray paint is these days. Figured why not, just grab the orange helmet. It was a child size, so I did have to kind of pound and chip away at some of the stuff. So this isn't a safe helmet anymore, but it's a prop anyways for a costume, so I don't really care. Other than that was the sash. So I was clearly, he had a sash that said monitor on there, and we tried our best to match the font with the uncapitalized I there and kind of the general size. So this actually worked out quite well. In addition, I do have the shirt and the orange shirt, which was a little hard to find. Luckily enough, this one was one that wasn't like a double XL. It was close. It was, I think, a large here, but it really matched the color of the shirt that was in the movie, and it actually fit without being too crazy big. Found that at maybe the 3rd or 4th Goodwill, and luckily I found that. The shirt was actually, this green shirt there, or the outer jacket, light jacket, was actually kind of hard to find. Ended up picking just this up at a Walmart, $14, and it's the size and slim cut and stuff like that, so I can actually wear this in the future. So, and I like green anyway, so it's a win-win there. But yeah, this was actually pretty good. I found like a really close match at one of the Goodwills, but I couldn't actually fit my arms in it for some reason. So, that is what it is. So I will show you this whole entire costume in its entirety later on in the video as kind of a final wrap up and how it all came together. All right, so the features. Let's just start off simple with the LED light. So it's actually pretty discreet, it's kind of embedded in there, and yep, it can whitewash the frame there. So anyways, I basically pulled that from like an old high-powered headlamp. It had like 3 bulbs in there. I actually originally used the first one, but shit happens and I burnt it out. So I grabbed one of the other 3, which actually turned out to be a lot better and a lot brighter, which was surprising. It wasn't even the main LED. So it's obviously heat shrinked and wired all the way down. If you can see that wire there, just a little tether to make it strong. But that wires down and then has the push button, a little push button in there. And that's just kind of drilled in there and locked in place. And then it goes down to a 9-volt battery that's just kind of stuck inside there. And that's just a real simple circuit, so not bad. Now the speaker, on the other hand, I actually tore that from one of these here. So it's just a little Bluetooth speaker battery bank, and since I had 2 of them, I figured I didn't need 2 of them, and I needed a speaker, and this thing generally got pretty loud, and it already had some Bluetooth capabilities, so that was going to be perfect for the addition of the soundboard. And one of the other features it had was that you can actually plug in an external audio source. Now it's this little cable, little USB-A to, or whatever that, USB mini, into a headphone jack. Now when you plug it in there, it automatically turns on to whatever audio is being, put into it. Well, I just simply attached a little sound sensor. I got it taped up there just so that the terminals don't come off. But it's just a microphone with a little driver circuit there that will amplify it. And you can adjust the sensitivity and stuff. That's part of this, like my Arduino, parts kit. And so that's what I had on hand. So when you talk into that, it actually picks up the voice and just puts out an analog signal to the speaker. The louder you speak, the louder it goes, but since it does have some amplification on the circuits inside there from the actual Bluetooth audio circuitry, so it was kind of convenient there. This allows me to not only do this loudspeaker, but it also allows me to play the sounds and audio, music, whatever you want into it. And it actually works through this metal container. I was surprised, but there seems to be no problem at all making it through a stainless steel container. And it also already had its battery source, so that could power things like the speaker, the Bluetooth. And if I wanted to tap into it, I could have powered the LED and stuff like that off of that, but it was simple just to hook a 9-volt battery to the LED. But yeah, so that wasn't too bad there. As far as the drill goes, what I ended up doing is I was originally, and I'll put the video up here, picture in picture, of the test of the original idea, and it was going to be, so the drill was going to have basically a carrier on a threaded rod, and that carrier was going to be made out of 2 1/4-inch nuts, and that would thread on at 2 different points on that piece of tubing, and it would basically, when this motor would spin, it would thread, go up, and then go down. I would attach that to a microcontroller that would be accepting some sort of buttons. Like if you push it twice, it would extend. If you push it 3 times, it would go back in. And in theory, it actually did work, and physically it did work. And you can see here in this video. But I ended up having to scrap it as a result of running out of space. It just didn't fit. You know, I just couldn't do it. There's nothing you can do about that. And so I actually decided on a plan B. And this plan B was actually using a bit of like a bungee material. And so it has constant pressure, spring pressure tension on there, that whenever this cap would come off, it would just pop out, and pop in. So that actually worked out a lot better. It's just basically a V shape or a U shape of bungee material strapped to the back of the driver head, and you just tension it, and simple as that. You know, it works. But that's all I have to say about that feature. The other feature, one that was actually, I thought was going to be easy, but ended up proving to be a little difficult only because of how shitty the knife was. I actually went to a party store, and they had some Halloween stuff, and it was actually a spring loaded. So when you're one of the fake ones where it looks like you're stabbing somebody, because obviously kids want to be stabbing people and make it look as realistic as possible. But so I originally was going to have it so when I twist the cap, it would have the little slice out of there, and basically it would retain and then extend. The trouble is the spring was so strong that when it did shoot out, this continued going. It shattered, and it just continued going. So it was more of like a knife throwing feature, but I didn't want that. I wanted a simulated shovel. So I cut the spring down, still was too strong, reinforced it with glue, reinforced it with coatings to make it stronger, still just wouldn't stop shattering. And so what I ended up doing is just simply taking the spring out, and you know, simpler is better apparently, and I just do a gravity fed. So when you tip it, when this is spun to the right orientation, this will pop out, you can pop it back in. So it got the point across. I like it. I don't really care. But that was that one there. The drill, I actually found this, just to mention, I actually found that on one of the days I was at Goodwill searching for other parts. Just laying on the shelf, perfect size, exactly what I had in mind. A lot of this project was just winging it. I usually 3D CAD a lot of my stuff before I even pick up any of the equipment. So I'll have usually a design exactly where I wanted to go with it. This was not. This was simply go and find something, keep all the notes in my head, drew a quick image of what I was thinking about going with the features, and it all just really came together. So that's always nice. Don't have to try too hard. When it came down to actually maximizing the amount of room inside of this thermos, it originally had like an inner tube, so it was kind of insulated obviously on the outside to be acting as an actual insulated thermos to keep your fluids hot, cold, whatever the hell you want to do. But I actually ended up cutting the inside rim here and detaching that inner chamber and then cutting around the bottom here, obviously remove this cap and then cut the bottom out, and that actually then slid right out. So it actually worked out really well. One of the key things that I was surprised that actually I had on hand is a little diamond Dremel cutting wheel. And surprisingly enough, I found that while I was camping in the Coconino Forest up in Flagstaff this past summer. And I picked it up, I knew I'm probably going to have to use that someday. And today was that day for when I was building the thermos. As far as the finishing goes, or the painting that I did of the thermos here, I'm not proud of the color. It's more of a pumpkin orange, but that's a lesson learned. I don't trust the example of the spray paint cap, but you're already committed to multiple coats, and it didn't get any darker or any redder than what you wanted it to be, so I just rolled with it. So originally, I could put up some photos here of, what it was before. It was just a stainless steel container, taped off some lines, used some binders to make sure that I can use make these these pinstripes or these lines on here. So after coating it, now I actually was patient this time. Most times I'm not with spray paint. Most times I'll use the entire can and expect it to somehow dry faster than it can. That I didn't do. What I did is I spray painted a little bit of it. I waited easily 10 minutes between coats, and that's what really made a really good finish that it's not going to really chip off or look like shit. So yeah, I was able to spray paint all that together, and then I did hand paint the lines on. So I just put some painter's tape and just, tried to be as careful as possible. And some of it ran a little bit, but it cleaned up. It's pretty straight, pretty good. I'm happy with it. This belt clip, actually, not to forget the belt clip. This was actually from an old PDA, probably an early 2000s Dell PDA, and it had, this attached to it. And so I figured, that was always a nice, easy detach and reattach, and then it can actually go on the belt and, just basically be dangling there, and really made the costume, so. Before I forget, I wanted to show you a quick example of how the full costume came together. Here's a couple slides with different poses and an extra credit element, such as the pea-stained ghost, something that I previously didn't mention, but I did add it just to have a well-rounded costume. It actually worked out really well as kind of a revealing element to the costume. So you could wear the pea-stained ghost costume, and everybody just thinks that's it, clever idea, really funny, haha. But then once you remove it and you realize the depth of the actual costume, the Hubie Halloween costume, was actually a really good feature to have, the ability to surprise people like that.